What if every self-help message you've absorbed is truly damaging your life? We've erected a whole enterprise on the assumption that we're inherently broken, endlessly modifying ourselves as though we're faulty mechanisms. But here's a profound reality. The foundational premise that you require mending is what's genuinely broken. Envision a wave in the sea suddenly achieving consciousness and distressing because it's not firm like a boulder, because it keeps changing shape. The wave would try to fix itself, to become more stable. How nonsensical would that seem? Yet this is exactly what we as humans do every day. The wave is already complete, but we've convinced ourselves that we're flawed projects requiring constant renovation. We've been presented with an inside-out story. You contain challenges requiring solutions, aspects requiring improvement. And if you effort intensely enough and identify the correct strategy, you can eventually fix yourself and become who you're meant to be. This narrative is so threaded through our culture that we scarcely doubt it. We accept our status as perpetual works in progress. Yet, what if this basic idea is completely inside out? Here's something controversial. You were never flawed, never partial, never a difficulty needing answers. The sole thing demanding repair is the assumption that you need repair. Ponder nature. When you examine a tree, you don't appraise its boughs as lacking. The tree is wonderful exactly as it presents itself. It matures and answers to its habitat, yet doesn't conduct conferences about self-improvement. We humans have created this faculty to become our own reviewers and directors. We stare in the mirror and view a remodeling job needing attention. Trees gain wisdom too, identifying which route to grow toward radiance, how to sink roots deeper. Yet trees don't punish themselves about deficient tallness. They react organically to what existence offers. The difference is trees have confidence in their being, while we've learned to question ours. We've been trained to think our instincts are questionable, our answers presumably mistaken. Therefore, we create an inner manager assessing all our actions. Am I performing adequately? Am I developing at the appropriate tempo? It's exhausting, like maintaining a demanding overseer in your consciousness, always finding you lacking. However, this overseer isn't who you are. It's absorbed judgments, adopted expectations from family, educators, and culture. You've incorporated a board making you feel eternally deficient. However, who notices this board? Who sees these appraisals? Something in you perceives the spectacle without getting trapped. That aspect is who you genuinely are. You're not the thoughts about yourself. You are the consciousness, wherein all this appears like meteorological patterns through the atmosphere. The sky is never wounded by weather patterns. Storms emerge and fade, yet the sky remains infinite. Similarly, concepts of deficiency come and pass, yet your essence stays unaffected. You can adapt and mature without the narrative that you're essentially damaged. Notice young children mastering walking. They fall constantly. Do they construct stories about being broken? Of course not. They get up and continue, because walking looks delightful. Learning occurs organically, joyfully, without self-criticism. Two methods of transformation exist. One presumes you're damaged, like a mechanic correcting a defective motor. The other understands you're already whole, like a gardener trusting natural growth. The mechanic struggles while the gardener joins forces with nature. Most development approaches are mechanical. We treat ourselves like robots requiring better software. However, what if you're more like a garden having built-in intelligence? When you believe in this wisdom, you stop fighting yourself. Instead of compelling yourself into structures, you permit your essence to manifest. When you discontinue warring with yourself, you liberate massive energy for existence. Ponder how much energy you consume judging yourself. Imagine if that energy were available for being present. The person who comprehends their entire funnels energy into manifestation and discovery. Here's something startling. When you cease attempting to repair yourself, things you thought needed fixing often take care of themselves. When you stop manufacturing self-judgment, your clarity settles. Much of what we assume is wrong results from efforts to fix what was never broken. You may think you carry an anxiety problem and apply approaches to fix it, but the striving manufactures increased anxiety. What if experiencing anxiety sometimes is perfectly natural? When you cease making anxiety an issue, it often dissolves naturally. We've been conditioned to believe we should feel certain ways: content, self-assured, tranquil. However, emotions are the atmospheric conditions of consciousness, sometimes tumultuous, sometimes calm. This isn't dysfunction. The identical principle applies to personality aspects we consider flaws. Maybe you're introspective in a culture praising outgoingness. Rather than adjusting these qualities, acknowledge them as your special offering. Oaks don't try transforming into pines. Rivers don't regret not being mountains. When you embrace your nature totally, something remarkable happens. You end expending energy trying to be someone you're not. This doesn't mean you never learn, but growth emerges from interest rather than deficiency. You expand because growth is delightful. Children don't strive at imagining. They just create naturally and easily. We develop skepticism toward innate intelligence. We've converted our inner world into a company with assessments. However, your true nature remains, waiting for you to remember you were never defective in the first place. Here's a paradoxical truth. The more you endeavor to improve yourself, the more you reinforce needing improvement. Yet, when you grasp you were never incomplete, improvement happens naturally, effortlessly. When you trust your nature, development unfolds like blossoms blooming gorgeously in their natural timing. This isn't passivity, but faith in the wisdom that powers your heartbeat. So here's a challenge. Engage in an experiment. For a single day, end trying to correct yourself. Consider that day as an offering to receive. Face feelings without transforming them. Witness thoughts without critiquing. Approach yourself like a beloved friend with compassion, tolerance, and levity. You may discover you're perfect just as you are. This is the secret. You are never flawed. You're already entire, already perfect, already sufficient. You're not divided from existence. You are life manifesting in human shape, and life is a festival. We're all waves in the same sea, each singular, each perfect, each momentary. When you realize this is lived experience, you can at last ease into being yourself. Your true being is more gorgeous than your imagined perfect self. You don't need to become more like life, because you are existence playing the role of you. The wave is the sea playing the game of being a wave. If this teaching reached you deeply, I heartily invite you to subscribe to the channel. Follow for more material that challenges accepted wisdom about personal evolution and self-improvement. And leave a comment below with the word whole to let me know you're ready to accept your complete, whole self exactly as you exist at this instant.